is Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
Tuesdays are reserved for some extra work. Welcome into Fox 8 Overtime. You know the usual cast of characters: Garland Gillen, Chris Hagan, Sean DeZan from the West Bank representing. Guess who's back? Saints will be wearing their road white jerseys because Sean Payton lost a bet. The Eagles coach Doug Peterson, what's the worst bet that you guys ever won or lost?
Well, I think the best bet I ever won was an easy one. Tulane over Grambling last year against you, so I'll take that every time.
All right. Fair. That's fair.
Back in 2006, we did a bold projection. I was 27-5 in the 32 picks, so that's the best I've ever done at picking games. 27-5.
Did you win it?
Yes, I won. It was like a fantasy bowl projection thing.
Right.
I won.
All right, Garland, what you think?
I won my survivor pool the Katrina year. I pulled in like $3,000, so that was good. Survivor, for you at home don't know, you pick a winner every week in the NFL, and then you keep knocking those teams out. I think Chris and Juan, actually Chris got knocked out. Juan's still in our survivor this year.
I just called you out. That's okay though. My biggest win was I won when the Bruins won the Stanley Cup recently. I won it in 4 games, about $500. I'm happy about that.
Nice.
I didn't know anything about hockey a long time ago. My producer says 6 years ago. Not that far ago. Hey, let's get to the big board because we got a lot to talk about tonight. Here's what's on tap for tonight's show. The Saints have won 8 in a row. Will they ever lose again? The Tigers are hoping to finish the season strong with 3 straight wins. And if Tulane can just win 1 more game, they'll be going bowling. But let's start with the black and gold. They haven't lost since the beginning of the season. They played very, very well, losing that game against Tampa September 9th, and they're coming off their most convincing win of the season, a dominant 51-14 win over the Bengals. So, fellas, could this team go 15-1?
Look, I don't think that's impossible. I mean, when you look at what the NFL is right now, and I talked about it in a final say, I think, a week or 2 ago, it's about big offenses and who can stop you. And like we saw when the best teams matched up, Chiefs, Patriots, Saints, Rams. Look, Vikings, Rams a couple weeks ago, the offense that put the most points on the board and was able to have the strong finish won. And so I think with what the Saints are doing right now, and watching Sunday Night Football and seeing the Cowboys move the ball over the Eagles, are the Eagles going to be able to stop the Saints? Who's going to be able to stop the Saints? Because they face 2 of the arguably best defenses in the NFC, and they've beaten them. So I don't know. And I would say so.
And look, I think the formula for success, I wrote about this in my blog, is flawless offensive execution, timely defensive plays when the opposing offense is trying to go shot for shot with the Saints and they can't do it, they do too much, they get vulnerable, the defense steps up. But I'll say this, what team could beat them? And this may sound crazy, but the team I think that will have a chance because they can go shot for shot, they're explosive, the Atlanta Falcons in a couple of weeks. They have the chance because they have explosive wide receivers to keep pace. That game may come down to what defense makes a stop at the right time.
I'd say maybe the Steelers too.
Steelers too.
I look at the entire NFL, and we've been talking about how the NFL has been balanced for the last few years. I don't think there's much balance this year. I think you've got like 3 or 4 really good teams, and everyone else kind of bottom feeders trying to get into those wild card positions. I think the Saints are one of the elite teams in the NFL. I think they could win out. We talked about this whole gauntlet thing, this 5-game stretch here. We were thinking, if they can go 3-2, we'd be happy with that. They might go 5-0. And because they've been the better team in all 5 of those games, they've beaten the Rams, about to take on the Eagles. They've won some games that we weren't quite sure they would win, but they've won in so many different ways. Why can't they go 15-1? That's a lot of pressure, especially when you got that 3-game thing that they ended with Carolina, Pittsburgh, Carolina. But they've already proven so many doubters wrong right now by winning 8 in a row and beating some very good football teams. I think this team can win out if things fall their way, and they have so far.
Juan, you just said the last 3 games. That's where I see the 1 loss coming. I think they're going to go 14-2, and it's either going to be one of the home and homes with Carolina or Pittsburgh at home. Maybe Pittsburgh, though, with that division, I don't know what the Steelers might be playing for in Week 16. Maybe they already have the division wrapped up. Maybe the Chiefs push ahead, get that 1 seed, and then the 2 seed. Maybe the Patriots are in there. So we'll see. But I think it's going to be one of those final 3. They lose one of those. But 14-2, that'd be the best regular season record for the Saints ever.
I never thought I would say that Steelers look like they may be a better football team without Le'Veon Bell. They're certainly better without all the headache that comes with him playing, not playing. Probably not going to play this year. But are they a better football team without him because other guys have just kind of stepped up in his place?
They're clicking. I mean, they're clicking. And just go back to what we talked about a second ago. Garland, I know you're big into the odds and the spreads. I don't think the Saints will be an underdog in any. If it started right now, in any game they have left on their schedule, they will be the favorite in every single game.
Even Carolina, Carolina might be like a 1 or 2 point favorite. You're all right. After what Carolina did last week, I know it's gonna be down the line week 15, but what Carolina did at Pittsburgh there, yeah, you're probably right, Sean. They're probably like a 1 or 2 point favorite on the road at Carolina.
And I think along the theme of unstoppable Saints, you know, we've discussed it. The offense may not be there every week, but we've seen them overcome that as well. Poor offensive numbers, stats-wise, in Minnesota. Poor against the Browns in week 2. Not great in Baltimore, but they were able to overcome with timely turnovers. And so I think the combination of that complementary football and being able to get those turnovers, and they were able to do it in Cincinnati as well last week and pile it on, I think that just makes this team that much better. You don't see many teams that are able to just turn so many turnovers into points right away, but the Saints have been able to do it.
If this team has holes, it's basically on the defensive side of the football, but those holes are starting to close up even more because they've gotten better as they've gone forward. And as we mentioned, they've got the Eagles coming up next. That's going to be a tough game. We'll begin our preview of the Saints and Eagles tomorrow night on Game Plan. Thursday Night Football will be worth watching this week as the Packers battle the Seahawks. Playoff implications may be there. Coverage begins on Fox 8 at 6:30. Still to come, Ed Ogeron says LSU is focused on finishing strong, but are they really improving as the year's gone on? And Uptown, Tulane has 2 chances to get 1 win and clinch a bowl eligibility. Can they do it, and what does it mean for Willie Fritz's future?
By the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty. You're watching Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
We're going to go on campus now with the LSU Tigers, who received a major commitment late this afternoon from a local kid. How about them getting a commitment from Destrehan running back John Emery, the nation's 2nd-ranked running back and 21st best player in the country by 24/7 Sports. He's pledged his commitment to the Tigers after recently backing away from a commitment with the Georgia Bulldogs. I ask you, how much does this make LSU's backfield room better?
Makes it a whole lot better. I think this is a guy that can come in and immediately contribute and or start from day one when you look at what he can do with the football in his hands. And I mean, this is the type of recruit you expect to see in a class, especially after missing on getting that marquee running back in last year's. And so, yeah, I think this is huge for their backfield. This is what you need. You need a player of that elite caliber if you want to compete with the Alabamas like we've talked about in weeks past on this show.
And look what they have in their backfield right now. There's an opening right now. I think him and Derek Stingley walk in and could be day 1 starters. We've done highlights, Fox 8 Football Friday, for years now. Over the last 2 years, without question, John Emery was the best player on our screen when we did those highlights. Home run ball waiting to happen, can catch the ball out of the backfield. The second he kind of came onto the scene, we all knew he has to go to LSU. LSU has to get this guy, and kudos to them for getting him.
How much do you think, Garland, that he saw the writing on the wall with what they have in Baton Rouge right now, and that's what makes him say, you know what, Georgia's not where I need to be. I can go play right away and be a difference maker and be the guy in the backfield, a la Leonard Fournette, various guys before him.
He decommitted the week of the Jesuit game. That was our game of the week in week 9. He told us that he decommitted because he looked at the depth chart. He was very honest with his answers post-game in the Jesuit game when they beat Jesuit. He saw the depth chart, and then right after that, I figured that LSU was the favorite because LSU's depth chart opens up big time next year with Brissett graduating, Leonard Fournette graduating. They'll be left with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he's a different kind of running back. Chris Curry, they're not going to play him anymore this season, so he can get that red shirt. But he's going to play right away next year, and that's what I think Coach Ogeron sold him on. So like Coach O said, we coming. We ain't backing down.
I mean, he said a little bit deeper voice, though.
I'm not going to do impressions on the air.
I think this is a great pickup for LSU. I mean, I've heard you guys talk about how talented this player are. It amazes me every year how much talent there is down in River Parishes. It's a small community, but they crank players. Now, we know what they've done with NFL players. You think about the Ed Reeds, and the list goes on and on. But to have players like this in a small community, does it surprise you guys at all that we see this year after year? There's an understated, there's a culture down there.
There's hotbeds of recruiting. West Bank's one. River Parishes is one. A-Mead area is one. I mean, there's just certain hotbeds. This has been going on since we were in high school. I mean, this has been I mean, like you said, you mentioned Ed Reed. I mean Jordan Jefferson came out of Destrehan High School. It was, I mean, they put out some quality football players, not just at Destrehan, but the entire River Parish area. So, no, it doesn't surprise me because it happens year in and year out.
And the big thing is that, again, LSU landed him. I mean, the fact that he flirted with some other schools first, that's risky because Ogeron's a guy who since day one preached, you know, putting that fence up around Louisiana, and if Louisiana has players of this caliber ever, I mean, yeah, Ogeron should be getting 9 of the top 10 guys within this state every year.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, and now coming up next for LSU, Devontae Lee is the 7th best athlete in America. He's a wide receiver. He can play strong safety also. And then the best defensive lineman in America is an Amy and Ishmael Sopsher. So LSU's not done yet with local talent.
Got to keep those guys here. As for the Tigers, hoping to finish strong. They struggled to win at Arkansas last Saturday, which shouldn't come as a surprise because it was kind of a hangover game following Alabama the week prior. But now we're asking an important question about LSU. Can they finish the season strong? And what does strong mean to you guys?
I think strong means building on what we've seen from them this year and getting better each and every week. You know, that's one thing Frank Selfo at Southeastern talked about. You know, they're not playing for much besides beating Nichols this week because they're not going to go to the playoffs. There's no postseason. But as a football team, and every football team should say it, you want to be better than you were in week 1. And I think LSU has shown improvements from week 1 in certain areas, but also since that Georgia game, we haven't seen that same offensive output. And so finishing strong, I believe, means going out there, and especially against A&M, a team that might be able to score some points, you've got to be able to show that offensively this team's capable, and that Georgia game wasn't just a flash in the pan.
I agree. It felt like they were gaining momentum offensively to that Georgia game. They exploded in that Georgia game, and they've steadily regressed. Where's Racey McMath? Where's Jamar Chase? Where's Terrence Marshall? Joe Burrow is not pulling the ball out more and running on that zone read. Feels like Insminger is a little out of rhythm play calling right now, but in order to finish strong, to me, there's so much to play for, and there's so much momentum that can be built by finishing strong this year and going into next year because you have a lot of guys coming back, softer schedule, and a great recruiting class.
I feel like we've come down this road many times before. We've talked about LSU's offense looking stale, feeling stale, not being imaginative enough. Is Insminger the answer?
I think he is. Look at the recruits coming in.
Well,
there's a reason. There's a reason what he's selling, and all these kids are coming to LSU because of Ensminger and Ogeron. That's why they got the John Emery, and they might probably get Devontae Lee at A-Meet. I think he is the answer, and I think they're going to win out, and they're going to get to the Sugar Bowl. I think Alabama's going to house Georgia in the SEC championship game. LSU's going to move ahead of Georgia, so they'll be 10-2. If they win this Sugar Bowl, they're going to be in the top 5 in the finish top 5 in the country. They're going to have a sterling recruiting class this year. I think the sky's the limit for LSU going forward, even though Alabama's in the SC West with them.
Here's why I question whether or not he's the answer there or not, because I don't care what players you get at LSU. You look at Alabama, they get the same players LSU does, but they somehow coach their players up better, and they get more out of their players than LSU does out of their offensive players. I mean, it's great if they get all these 5-star recruits coming from all over Louisiana coming in there, but if the offense isn't imaginative enough, they can't run the ball, they can't block anybody, they can't be aggressive with the offense, then it doesn't matter if you got 3 stars or 5 stars. Am I off base here?
I will say this, I don't think they're quite on par with offensive talent right now. Now, in the past with guys like Fournette and Geis and obviously Odell, Jarvis, Mettenberger, okay, maybe they were close. But right now, it's not there. Joe Burrow's not close to Tua.
Nobody is, though.
No. I mean, their backfield, look, I like what Brissett and Clyde Edwards-Helaire have done, but they're not Najee Harris. They're not that Alabama backfield. But I think they're getting there. Their offensive line is not what Alabama's is. But this is the next step.
I think that's the key. The O-line has really, I don't say fallen apart, but they've struggled these last couple of weeks. Even before Bama, the Mississippi State game, they kind of struggled a little bit as well. And let me say this. Winning out, finishing strong is great, but if they somehow finish 9-3, that would be such a letdown after what you really accomplished in the beginning part of the season.
All right, coming up, LSU transfer Justin McMillan has reinvigorated Tulane's season, and now he has the Wave on the cusp of a bowl game. Is this a flash in the pan or a sign of major progress for the Wave? That's next on Fox 8 Overtime.
Sponsored by Regions Bank. You're watching Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
I feel like we've been down this road before with Tulane. on the cusp of another chance of becoming bowl eligible, needing to win just one game. Houston this weekend, 2-8 Navy next. Does it feel like it's finally Tulane's turn to shine in the sun?
I'm calling it. I called before the season started.
Oh,
6-6. I'm riding or dying.
Call it?
I'm riding or dying with the wave, baby.
Nor deny.
Riding or dying with them. They might beat Houston this weekend. If they beat Houston this weekend, SMU loses to Memphis, and then Tulane wins next week against Navy. They're playing for the American Athletic Conference Championship. If you'd ever told me that, I'd have told you crazy, Wall.
I would agree with him on that one. I mean, listen, all credit goes to Willie Fritz and what they've done over the last 3 weeks, winning 2 out of 3 games on the road, winning 3 in a row, the first time in a long time, trying to win 4 in a row for the first time since 2014. I could see them beating Houston.
I could too. I mean, I think the way that Houston's defense has been porous the last couple of weeks against SMU and Temple, giving up more than 100 points, and the way Tulane's not only been able to run the ball like they did against South Florida, but I mean plays like this. They've hit on some big plays and had more than 370 yards against ECU. I think Tulane has the playmakers to be a big play team, and Houston's given up a lot of them.
Kudos to Tulane, because I was so frustrated with them after the week 1 loss. I thought, here we go again. It's all talk. They're not ready for it. But Willie Fritz has kept this group together. Now they're on the verge of bowl eligibility. And look, they better get the 6 wins, because I mean they got to win one of these 2 games here, and I think there is a legitimate chance of them beating the Houston Cougars. But let me just say this: Justin McMillan, a steady hand at the quarterback position. 46% completion percentage, nothing great, but no interceptions, 6 touchdowns. He makes good football decisions. He just seems like a heady quarterback. That's exactly what Tulane needed.
He's doing something that Jonathan Banks couldn't stop doing. He's not doing what Jonathan Banks kept doing, which is putting the ball on the ground, turning the ball over. He's giving Tulane their possessions, and he's making smart decisions. They just needed a quarterback that wasn't going to make silly mistakes and help this team win football games. And are you surprised, real quickly, are you surprised that he's had that much of an impact on this team so far?
I didn't see them. I didn't think he was going to play this year because Jonathan Banks was a senior. Yeah. But you're right, Banks made some huge mistakes. The SMU game, I thought McMillan should have came in possibly at halftime in that game. I thought he should have played earlier this year. Yeah, Banks has made way too many mistakes this season.
All right, coming up, the high school playoffs are entering their 2nd week, and that means all of our top teams are gearing up for crucial showdowns. We'll preview the action, and we'll each get a final say. That's next.
Sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty. You're watching Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan Titan, backed by America's best limited truck warranty.
Time to talk about the kids a little bit here on Fox 8, because we love the kids because the playoffs are about to heat up a little bit. Here's our Fox 8 Big 8 poll as the 2nd round of the playoffs roll around. John Curtis 1, Edna Carr 2, John Ehret 3, Destrehan number 4. Sean, which of these 4 teams impressed you the most in week 1 of the playoffs?
Well, Curtis was off, but I'm going to go with Carr. They just keep rolling in the playoffs. I fully expect them to steamroll through the 4A bracket and make another state championship.
All right, let's look at 5 through 8 because you got Lakeshore 5, Terrebonne, Slidell, and Rummel. Chris, any of these teams on the upset alert?
I think Slidell and Lakeshore are both. Slidell taking on a tough EA team, and Lakeshore against Livonia. Livonia is another one of those recruiting pockets we talked about. They put some talent at the D1 level. They're tough.
All right, our Fox 8 game of the week. It's a big one. 2nd seed Destrehan, 18 seed Landry Walker. A lot of athletes on the field in this game.
Yeah, Destrehan's a favorite going into this game. I don't know what team is going to show up for Landry Walker there. They've had a lot of problems on offense, figuring out what they're going to do. Big win at Barb last week, at least going on the road. They get Destrehan at Berman Stadium. I think Destrehan, as I said, it's gonna be a tough game for Landry Walker to pull the upset.
All right, our Player of the Week nominees are right there for you. The Hannon defense forced 13 fumbles against Lusher, recovering 6, 2 for touchdowns. Wow. Honville quarterback Andrew Robinson, 3 touchdown passes in a win over Walker. Slidell running back Harlan Dixon, 214 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Also had 2 catches, 27 yards in the score. Log on to fox8live.com/player to vote. Voting ends tomorrow. Get on there right now. Time now for everyone's favorite part of the show, our final say. Sean, I'm just saying, lead us off.
Here I go again. Gotta send a shout out to all of you LSU goalpost movers out there. You guys are the greatest. I remember how mad you all were before the season. Bad coach, 6-6 record, we're all doomed. And the Tigers were way better than anyone thought. Started winning, and now they're 8-2, a spot literally no one thought they would be. But guess what? Some of y'all are still mad because you've reset the expectation on the fly, and it's this new raised expectation the Tigers will fall short of. We know LSU is a place where you can win national titles. It's not going to happen this year. Plus, the offense, as we discussed, is still not there, and that's tough. But if they can earn a 10-win season in a New Year's Six Bowl, they'll take a crucial step in getting to where they want to be.
The NFL made the decision today to move the upcoming Monday night game out of Mexico City due to poor field conditions back into the United States in Los Angeles. Probably not an easy decision given how much they want to expand the brand internationally. However, player safety should always be the top priority, and it's great to see them listen to the players on both sides, the Rams and Chiefs, several of which reportedly said today that they'd consider sitting out if it meant not sacrificing their health. Hopefully, in the future, proper precautions are taken to make sure Mexico City's playing surf at Estadio Azteca is in better condition.
Professional athletes, get out your pen and paper or your iPhone notes, because Jimmy Butler just gave you the blueprint on how to sabotage your team and get traded in the process. Butler's first practice in the preseason turned into a session of belittling the organization. Then decided to go on national TV and describe how he disrupted practice. Then told coaches he wouldn't play a back-to-back night game. We caught him cheering with opposing fans by towel waving on the bench, just being an overall distraction. So the Timberwolves traded him to the Sixers. So players, learn from Jimmy. If you want to leave your team, here's how to do it.
Very interesting. Can a one-time star player accept becoming a role player for the good of the team? The Saints were banking on Dez Bryant being able to do so this season. Now we may never know, thanks to his season-ending Achilles injury. But I had my reservations from the start because the world saw far too many times how Dez Bryant, the star receiver, acted when the ball wasn't coming his way often enough with the Cowboys. It would have been a similar situation here with the Saints. No longer would Bryant have been the team's first option with the Saints. One could argue that he would have been, at best, Drew Brees' third choice to throw to. How would he have acted then? Temper tantrum on the sideline, or sucked it up and been a good teammate? Sadly, we may never get the answer to that question here, and I'm okay with that.
Ouch.
The football on Fox 8 continues tomorrow night at 10:35 with an in-depth look at the Eagles on game plan. Thursday night, a pivotal NFC matchup between the Packers and Seahawks. And Friday, I'm a lucky boy.
Me?
I'm going to be with you, Sean.
Right.
Me and you, Sean. And another extended playoff edition of Fox 8 Football Friday at 10:18.
Of course, Aiken's going to be on the beach. Sun's out, guns out, huh?
Flexing. Flexing.
Should be fun.
That's be fun. Can't wait.
Get you back on the prep beat.
Back in the prep rate. I may know a few teams. We'll see. Until next time, for all these fellas right here next to me and everyone at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. Thanks for watching our next newscast, and we're going to be up for it. Right?
Child, please.
Try.
Child, please. 4:30 in the morning. Have a great night.
This has been Fox 8 Overtime, sponsored by the 2018 Nissan